In this video tutorial, I'll walk you through creating an invoice. For each of your client projects, you can create as many invoices as you'd like. For me personally, I usually only create one per project, but you're totally free to create and send as many as you'd like based on your business needs. Let's get started. You can always view the list of your invoices by clicking the side navigation menu, opening the Business submenu, and then choosing Invoices. By default, you will be presented with a list of all your invoices. To filter invoices by status, click the Open, Paid, or Closed status tabs. At the top of the All Invoices tab, you'll see any of your past due invoices. This way, it's very clear to which ones may need your attention. One thing I want to mention is that you will receive a notification once an invoice becomes past due. The Templates tab is for invoice templates, which we will cover in a separate video tutorial. To create a new invoice, click the Create New Invoice button. The first step is to specify a client the project belongs to. Once you've selected a client, you'll be given a list of that client's projects to choose from. Remember, an invoice is ultimately tied to a client project. As you can see, once I've selected the project, I am presented with the invoice details. The Recipient Info section contains information about the person who will receive the invoice. By default, the client's information is used, but you can certainly change this to whatever you'd like, as we understand some business scenarios may have someone other than your client paying their bill. For reference purposes, your information is displayed on the other side. If any of your information appears incorrect, you can update this information on the Account Settings page. Probably the most important part of the invoice will be adding line items. Each line represents a product or service. You can add as many as you would like. For this invoice, I'm simply going to list my shoot time. For this particular project, my client agreed to pay for my time in 30-minute increments because they did not know how long they would need me for. So for the description, I'll put in 30-minute shoot time. The photo shoot ended up taking just over an hour and a half, so for the quantity, I'll put in 3. I charged $125 for 30 minutes, so I'll put that in for the cost. As you can see, the total shows the quantity multiplied by the cost for this line item. If the line item is subject to tax, then you can click the taxable checkbox. I personally include taxes in my pricing so clients don't have to think about it, so I'll leave this blank. If you do have any taxable items, be sure to also include the tax rate. Once you're satisfied with a line item, click the check icon to save it. You can always edit or remove line items. The next section of the invoice allows you to specify any discounts. These are not required. This is one of my repeat clients, so I'm going to give them a discount off the total price. To do so, I'll click Add Discount. Specify a description, and then an amount. You can also specify the type of discount. There are two options: percentage, which is a percentage off the total, and fixed, which is a fixed dollar amount off the invoice total. Once you're finished working with a discount, click the check mark to save it. You can always edit or remove discounts. Towards the bottom, I see my invoice breakdown. Be sure to always review this before you send the invoice to your client. If you have taxable items and have specified a tax rate, the tax amount will show here as well. The next field in the invoice is the invoice due date, which specifies when it must be paid by. You'll receive a notification when an invoice becomes past due. You can optionally specify an invoice deposit. This is just an easy way for the recipient to pay the deposit amount. The next section always allows you to specify accepted payment methods. This shows your client how they can pay for their invoice. If you allow cash and/or check payments, you'll need to log these manually, as there is no way for Photocog to know when these transactions take place. Note that to allow your clients to pay using a credit card, you must enable this payment method in your account settings. If you have not done so, this payment method will be disabled. Finally, you can specify an optional note to your client that will appear at the bottom of the invoice. The last step is to click Save, which will create the invoice and take you to the invoice details page. Here you can see the invoice that was created. From here, you can send the invoice to your client by clicking Send Invoice. To close the invoice, click the Close Invoice button. In Photocog, there is no way to delete an invoice, but closing it is essentially the same thing. Once an invoice has been closed, you cannot log any payments to it. Credit card payments cannot be made towards closed invoices either. To add cash or check payment, click the Add Payment button and specify the payment details. The amount cannot exceed the invoice balance. To refund a payment, click the Refund icon and then confirm. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our support team and have a great day.